It's officially the All-Star break, and the Knicks are going to be busy. We're going to tell you where they'll be playing from the All-Star game to the three-point contest, preview both events, and we're going to give our ideas to fix All-Star weekend to close the show. All coming up next on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in to Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. And I am Alex Wolf. I'm editor-in-chief of Knicks site, The Strickland, which you can find at thestrick.land. And he is Gavin Shaw, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster, and the Saturday co-host of the Locked On NBA podcast. And today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get a $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And I want to thank you all for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day, whether you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform or taking in the sights and sounds on YouTube. We appreciate you making us part of your daily routine. Make sure you hit that auto download function on your favorite podcast app or the notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode. On today's show, we are going to be talking about All-Star Weekend. So we're talking about Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, where they're going to be playing over this All-Star Weekend. Spoiler alert, Jalen Brunson, three-point contest. Cat and Brunson, both named starters. Maybe won't be starting, but, had the honor of being named starters. They will be playing in the new All-Star format, which we will break down. And then we'll also talk about how we want to fix the All-Star game All-Star Weekend in general, because seems like it needs a little help. People are still pretty polarized by the whole thing. But if that's not enough for you today, you can also check out our new newsletter, because your favorite podcast now has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Knicks Daily newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com, and start your day with the all new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. All right, Gavin, as we get into this All-Star lineup here for the Knicks, Friday tonight going to be little dead for them. I guess if you want to scout against Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns as future All-Star opponents, this is huge. If you want to be part of the scout team, because they will be facing whichever Rising Stars team rises to the top in Friday's action. But then All-Star Saturday night, no dunk contest participant, which is a little weird. It seems like Nick always kind of finds their way in there somehow. So no dunk contest participant, but Jalen Brunson will be competing in the three-point contest, where he should presumably be, I would say, one of the favorites. I haven't looked at the betting lines just yet. Maybe we could get to that a little later, but he should probably be a favorite in that. And then, of course, both Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson will be All-Star starters on Sunday night, at least in name. I'm still unsure as to how this whole thing is going to work.
They should. I'm going through it. They should both start, because no team has more than 5 guys who were voted All-Star starters. On Towns' team, it's him, Jokic, SGA, Donovan Mitchell, and Giannis was, but he is no longer on the team, so it's Trey in his place. But those 4 should start. And Brunson is actually which it may be an indictment on Kenny Anderson, though it seems like they were forced to all pick a certain way. Jalen Brunson is the only All-Star starter on Kenny's quote unquote young stars. So they should presumably both be starting.
Yeah, certainly Brunson will be. I just don't know if it's going to be based off of draft position or whatever, but we could talk about our confusion over that in the next segment, I guess, because it's certainly is a little confusing there. But first, we have Jalen Brunson in the three-point contest, Gavin, and I don't know. I think he should probably be a favorite in this event. But what are your thoughts going into the three-point competition for Jalen Brunson? And remind me where he finished last year, because you looked it up and I totally forgot to.
Yeah, so I don't know why I could not find the results, like the actual numbers. I remember that he lost in the first round. The final 3 was ironically Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton, and Karl-Anthony Towns, who's having I would argue the best 3-point shooting season of his NBA career. I'm going to double check right now, but I believe a career high it is a career high in 3-point percentage. He's just under 44%, has never shot above 42.1% before this year. So I'm a little surprised that he is not back there. He's having clearly a better 3-point shooting season than he did a year ago and finished top 3. Presumably, we were talking about it pre-show. That was probably his own choice. Jalen Brunson went out in the first round. If I remember, he was pretty close to getting into the second round. I know our buddy DJ Zula, who's a little bit of a shot doctor, broke down that Jalen is a 2-motion shooter, which is a real challenge just when you need to get off as many shots as possible in a minute. So it's not really built for his type of shooting. Also, obviously, just not have the catch and shoot reps of some of the other guys participating. He's joined by Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Buddy Hield, Cam Johnson, Dame Lillard, and Norman Powell. I would say Lillard, Garland, Johnson, Hield would probably be my 4 favorites of that group.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would certainly ask Dyson Daniels if he thinks Jalen Brunson it takes a long time to get into his shot after the other night, because he definitely got a quick one off right over the outstretched arm of Dyson Daniels to give the Knicks some key points down the stretch of that game against the Hawks. I'm kind of, I don't know. I feel like, to me, Garland and Cade, I look at and I say those guys are typically handling the ball. I mean, I know that Garland and Mitchell kind of share reps as far as who brings the ball down, so both of them get some spot up opportunities and whatever. But I would argue that Brunson maybe gets a little more in terms of spot up versus those guys, just especially lately with Josh Hart handling the ball more. That should hopefully help him. So I'm not like super scared of Cade or Darius Garland. Hero, I feel like, is either going to hit all of them or none of them. I don't know what it is. It's just I know that he's gotten a lot better over the years, but I still just kind of look at him as like a super J.R. Smith type of player, where it's like he can get like mega hot. Probably ill-informed of me. Norman Powell might be like my kind of sleeper in this field. He's actually having a really good year quietly. But not so quietly on my one fantasy basketball team, but I think that he's playing really solid. So maybe he scares me a little bit. Lillard is kind of like made for this competition and has done well in it in the past. Has he ever won one before?
He won last year.
He literally won last year. Yeah, well, there we go. Okay, so I mean, he's the defending champ, so I would think that he should probably be pretty well favored. Cam Johnson and Buddy Hield, I'm sure they'll both be pretty good as well. I don't know. I have some hopes for Brunson. I'm hoping that he'll at least make it to the second round. I think that could moderately be called a success at that point. But
yeah, I hate that it's only 2. It used to be, based on my memory from playing NBA Live 2005, it was always 3 rounds. And last year, if I'm remembering, it was only 2. It was you did the first round and then you had the final 3. I feel like it used to be more than 8 people. Maybe I'm misremembering that. But I always like going from whatever, like 8 to 4 to 2 or 8 to 3 to 2. I wish they'd bring that back. Or maybe you win, and then Steph like emerges from underneath the floor with smoke coming out, and then you have to beat Steph or something like that. I don't know. I'd mix it up. I want some new juice in All-Star Weekend. I do like the do shot. That's been a fun addition.
Yeah, I've enjoyed like the money rack and all that too. Like I've always enjoyed that wrinkle. Yeah. I think actually, like, of all the things that kind of, I mean, we'll talk about it later, like what we think the NBA could do to kind of like jazz up All-Star Weekend a little more, but of all the things that are broken, the 3-point contest largely has been pretty good, over the years. Yeah,
it's good.
That's
like, why I want an extra round. I want it to last as long as possible. I was enjoyed, and we can talk about it later. But we are also losing the Steph Sabrina showdown this year, so maybe that's why I want to involve Steph. But that was probably my single favorite part of All-Star Weekend a year ago. I don't know. I thought it was really fun and some real drama because Sabrina shot great, and then Steph, if I remember correctly, had to make something like his last 4 to win, and he did it.
Yeah. That it's. I mean, with the game where the game is now, it's just kind of like it makes sense that the 3-point shot contest is just like what everybody gravitates to at this point, and what kind of delivers the most drama because it's the skill that like everybody works the hardest on in the NBA now.
Do you remember they might just still do this every weekend. It's possible I just haven't seen it in a while, but when they would do like the team legends 3-point contest, it would be like Team Spurs, Team Rockets, and you just see like Hakeem Olajuwon just chucking half court shots for one of the teams. That was also great. It was Allen Houston. I feel like the one time, like whenever the Knicks did it, I would advocate like an old timer shooting contest would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they got rid of that. That was the what did they call it? It was the something stars, shooting stars. Is that what they called it? I forget, but I remember that. I used to love that too. I always thought because it was always like one like legend from the team from like
one
that
WNBA, right?
One NBA player, one WNBA player.
It was the shooting stars. You got it right. It was from 2004 to 2012.
Yeah, that was a classic event, man. Yeah, I wish they would bring that one back. That was again, of all the things to get rid of, that one was actually super fun. I don't understand why they ever got rid of that. I always thought that it was a really good time where they had to hit the different shots and then end with one of them has to make a half court shot to do it. And then every once in a while it would be the legend or whatever. And it was crazy to see someone who's like in their 50s like just nail half court shot. This
is a tough question, but I'm pulling it up right now. And I'm curious how many you can get. New York won in 2012. They had 3 players. They had one legend, one WNBA, one Knick on their team. Can you guess who was on the New York team?
Oh man. The Knick.
I gave you one already, so you should be able to pull that.
20. So it was Allen Houston. Right?
Yes, he was there.
Yeah, I do remember that. The Knick, was it Landry Fields?
Yes, good job. You got that's a great pull. Yeah, I was gonna say current NBA executive would have been my hint, but
and then the WNBA player.
There's no way. I don't see you get it. I can just tell you if you want. She went to Rutgers actually. Okay. So maybe that would help you.
No.
Okay,
not that deep in the New Jersey
water. Local legend.
Okay.
Who scored, if I remember correctly, scored over 100 points in a high school basketball game back in the day. So
crazy. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was probably the most off the rails segment of Locked On Knicks. I remember when they really sucked. We used to do stuff like what Avenger is each Knick. So this was maybe a little throwback to those days. But we're gonna get back on track. Next, we're gonna talk Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Our expectations for them this All-Star weekend and which of the 4 teams could win. Do we like the format? We'll get into it all next here on Locked.
But first, we got to let you know about our friends over at DoorDash. And NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player drops 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Wow, that's a nice long window. Here are some ways you could take advantage of this deal. You can get a game day feast. So after an epic 50-point performance, you can celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. You can indulge some late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack. Use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Maybe next time the Knicks are on a West Coast road trip after someone scores 50 the night before. Or you can get lunch on the go. If you need a quick and easy lunch the next day with Dash Pass, you can get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save when any player scores 50 or more in a game. Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right, Gavin, we're back in, and we've buried the lead long enough. We've talked through both the Knicks present and past in that first segment.
Who would have thought Landry Fields would have gotten a mention on today's episode? The over-under was crazy.
I can't even believe I remembered that, to be honest, but I actually literally could. I do have a picture in my head of Landry Fields standing next to Allen Houston in that All-Star weekend and thinking it was kind of bizarre. That was fun. That was a fun pull. But the big news for the Knicks, I mean, as we already covered when they were announced a couple weeks ago, is that the Knicks do have 2 All-Star starters this year. They have unfortunately been split up onto separate teams. And for those unfamiliar, so the NBA All-Star game is in fact the NBA All-Star Games this year. It's going to be a 4-team tournament. It's going to all be played in one night, back-to-back games and all that. I would imagine we'll probably have about the same compete level as your average NBA All-Star game. I forget what the target score is. Is it like 50 that they have to score?
I gotta Google it. Maybe 40. I'm not
sure. They have to score anyway. It's going to be 2 games of these 4 teams facing each other, and then the winners will advance to face each other in the final. They have to hit a certain target score. That part's not super important. Whatever.
It is 40 points.
40 points. Okay, so they have to hit 40 points, and ultimately the Knicks have been split up here. So as we briefly mentioned already, on Kenny's young stars, as they're called, Kenny the Jet Smith's team, Jalen Brunson finds himself. He was the second pick after Anthony Edwards on that team. Presumably will be starting in this one. And then on Chuck's Global Stars, as they've been called, Charles Barkley's team, you have Karl-Anthony Towns, along with honestly what I think is the favorite of this whole thing. Spoiler alert: Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Wemby, Siakam, Şengün, and then there's Cat himself, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, so Giannis isn't on the team anymore, so Trae Young replaces Giannis. Ironically, even though Giannis is a much better player, probably the perfect fit of a player to add on to this team to unlock this giant team of big men that just is dying for a guy to just feed them dimes all day. So I think they're probably the favorite. The other team that rounds this all out is Shaq's OGs, as they're called, which is LeBron James, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, KD, Damian Lillard, James Harden, and Jaylen Brown. But AD is out, so Kyrie Irving replaces him. One Maverick for another, though you could have never guessed that would have been the case a few weeks ago. But at any rate, Gavin, they also have to face the winners of the Rising Stars, which we were having a pretty lively debate about which team might win the Rising Stars. So I'll let you introduce that. But interesting there, they're doing sort of the same format for the Rising Stars competition, where they're going to have 4 teams duke it out to figure out which one gets to be the 4th team in the NBA contest on Sunday night.
Yeah, the teams are weird because I feel like they put like very distinct strengths all on one team. Team M, the Thompson brothers, Bilal Coulibaly, Tamani Kamara, Yves Missi, Bub Carrington, and Julian Strawther. That team, just insane defense. Like you could honestly make an argument that the Thompson twins, Kamara and Coulibaly, something like 4 of the top, I'm going to say 15 perimeter defenders in basketball this year. So that's crazy defense. I don't think they have a lot of shooting or a lot of offense. You were saying doesn't matter. Thompson twins are just going to be throwing lobs to each other. Totally fair argument. Team T is like mostly second year guys. I have no idea how they pick these teams. Jaime Jaquez, Grady Dick, Anthony Black. So you have the greatest jersey swap of all time on the same team. So that's fun. Zachary Richechet, who's killed the Knicks this year. Alex Sarr, Tristan Da Silva, Brandon Pajemski. That's fine. Third team, Team C. Again, who's picking them? Steph Castle, Dalton Connect, Jalen Wells, Keontae George, Zach Edey, Trace Jackson Davis, Ryan Dunn, and then there's a G League team that I'm not even going to go over really. But I'm going to say I don't know. You think Team M is the heavy favorite there? I can't say I have a great feel because I feel like all the teams have such distinct strengths.
I will just say they put so much thought into naming the full-on all-star teams, like, Chuck's International Stars or whatever, and like Shaq's OGs. Then like Mitch Richmond's team that he's coaching is just Team M, and Tim Hardaway Sr.'s team that he's coaching is just Team T.
Can I say the all-star team names sound like the names of restaurants you would get at Six Flags? It's like, like hey man, where should I meet you after King to Ka? I'm gonna have a burger at Shaq's OGs, and then I'm gonna be in the bathroom for the next 5 hours, crapping my brains out.
I'll be at the bathroom outside of Chuck's International Stars afterwards.
Yeah.
I will say, shout out Jeremy Lin coaching the G League team.
Oh,
I just noticed
cool.
that.
I didn't notice that. That's awesome.
So I'm kind of instantly rooting for the G League team now. I'll say they have Mac McClung on their team, which is cool. Also have Reed Shepherd, who dominated the summer league. So
Pat Spencer, who is one of the greatest college lacrosse players of all time and became a rotation player on the Warriors this year because they had so many injuries. So that's a cool story. Yeah.
Leonard Miller, who had a lot of potential coming in. So I don't know. Maybe I'm willing to bet on Team G League. Maybe that would be kind of crazy if Team G League made it to the freaking All-Star game.
I bet they. I do not think they will. I think they'll get wrecked. Personally.
Yeah, I think the Thompson twins team is going to destroy in the Rising Stars. Personally, I just think those two are so imposing compared to everybody else. Like, especially with how Amon's playing lately. The guy's just like hitting star levels right in front of our eyes. I don't think that they're going to lose.
Have you seen they're averaging both exactly 14.6 points per game this month? So
that's pretty sick.
The connection is as strong as ever.
They're really twinning. They're really twinning. But as far as the actual tournament,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that there's any real shot that whoever comes out of Rising Stars is going to win this thing. I am curious though. Like, it's obvious that what the NBA is trying to do here is create a potentially embarrassing situation to motivate these guys to try to play hard.
Yeah.
Because they're like just being like, do you want to lose to a bunch of like first and second year players? No, then like try during the All-Star game. Please, we beg of you. I'm really curious if that's just going to mean one game, like the first game of the tournament, that whatever team draws the Rising Stars is going to try.
So they put the bracket out already because I was curious because it's essentially a bye and they're giving, which makes sense since it's all the biggest names. Shaq's OGs essentially gets the bye, but I think that is intriguing to me because I think those guys will potentially not give a crap. And I could just see the Thompson twins team or any one of those, the first three teams just racing out to like a 28-11 lead because they are playing like it's game 7 of the finals. And then LeBron at 40 years old has to be like, guys, this isn't going on my resume. We're not losing this. So I actually think that could be pretty fun.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I see the potential for the format. I've been kind of championing this since they announced it. Like, I'm like, I kind of dig it. I'm a little sad that Brunson and Cat have to face each other in the first round in that case. So I guess we should probably predict that matchup. I mean, I think it's Chuck's Global Stars. I think Chuck's Global Stars wins the whole thing. I think he committed a heist. I still don't understand how he gets. So you can scratch out Giannis because he's an injury scratch, but he would have had Giannis with his second pick after taking Jokic, and then he gets SGA.
Well, wait, can we just say that the NBA clearly like pre-assigned these and then they quote unquote pick them on air because they wanted the themes clearly to me. I don't know,
maybe, but like.
How did it work out this way? Chuck got all the international guys. That's random.
Yeah, I mean, all apologies to Jalen Brunson though, but like Kenny Smith's team is just so bad. Like, why would the NBA want this?
It's also dumb because Jalen Brunson is older than Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not the OG. He's not.
But he hasn't been good as long. I guess is the argument. But
he's young in NBA service compared to those guys. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
A little bit of an insult to Jalen Brunson, honestly. He's like, why am I with these babies?
Yeah, it's just Brunson like babysitting Anthony Edwards and Jalen Williams and Cade Cunningham. Like,
making sure Anthony Edwards doesn't impregnate anyone over the weekend.
Jeez, I didn't realize that's where we were going.
Yeah, show. It's the All-Star show. If people are listening this long, they deserve to hear that.
We may as well. All right. Before we get to our next segment and try to fix All-Star Weekend or give our ideas to juice this thing up a little bit. Who do you think wins this All-Star tournament? I think I'm well on record. Global Stars. I think Global Stars run away with it.
I think I have to bet on the OGs just because I feel like they essentially get a first round bye. That might prove to be wrong, but I think they have the best odds. If not them, I am actually going to predict Kenny's Young Stars because I just think they're going to play way harder than any of the teams outside of the Rising Stars team.
See, I feel like in compete level, I think the Global Stars are gonna like Wemby and SGA alone. I feel like are gonna go like total balls.
Jokic will not care at all. Like he never does. Giannis does, but he's not playing.
But Jokic will like not care, but still have like a triple double. Like that's just kind of how he is. Like he'll just kind of like slouch his way to a triple double and like hit Wemby with a million lobs, and like they're gonna have a grand old time together. Şengün's gonna try real hard too, I think, and Mitchell. Like I don't know, and Trae Young too. I mean, he's a little shithead. Oh, sorry.
Him and Siakam are just weird all. They remind me of Julius Randle, where their games don't really fit in that they're not the best player. And like, are you gonna let Siakam take like 5 pull-up twos and Şengün post up for 4 minutes? So those two guys are weird. I think Trae Young, Mitchell, SGA, and Wemby and Cat to some extent are all pretty perfect all-star guys. So I could see it. But you know what? Because we're having lively debate, so maybe that's a sign that to your point, the format's great. And I do you think they're going to play hard? I do think there's something to be said for the fact that it's only 40 points as an incentive to just like, you have to go hard. But I mean, for these guys, it's like 8 minutes of basketball. Like I think that'll help.
Yeah, you know what? Let's take a quick break and then come back in, because that's actually part of the pitches that I have for fixing All-Star Weekend again, is something akin to the whole idea of a certain point total that you have to reach and all that. So we'll get into that in just a sec when we get back in to Locked On Knicks.
But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. And there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Trust me, that was the best part of my Super Bowl. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I missed my chance. If you want some real insanity, the Knicks-Hawks game the other night, that would have been the all-time to use FanDuel live betting feature. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hey guys, welcome back into Locked On Knicks. So I don't know, Alex. Do you think they're going to try? And if not, what would your suggested adjustment be?
Yeah, so I think they're going to try with this format to an extent. I think that the target score unlocks a level of competitiveness in these guys. That said, my pitch to fix things is just bring back the Elam ending. I thought it was really fun. I don't know why the NBA decided, hey, let's get rid of this thing that worked, that people were invested in, and they had that cool incentive then where at the end of every quarter, whichever team won got to give a pretty sizable check to the charity that they were representing that night. And then at the very end of the game, whoever won the final Elam ending quarter got an extra big check to give to their charity. I thought that was really cool. That was a really cool way to incentivize the game and, make the guys try a little bit. And having a target score, I don't know, you both simultaneously got the messing around and the try-hardingness, because you would have the team that if there was a team that was up by 15, they would just start messing around being well, if I'm gonna make the game-winning shot, I want to make a half-court shot to do it. But then you'd slowly have the other team chipping away, and then you had that lingering feeling of what if this team that's ahead by 15 points just messes around for too long and then gets beat. And it was fun. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed the Elam ending. So as much as I think this little mini tournament could work and could make these guys try, and I definitely think, like I said, the rising star element is definitely a way for them to sort of introduce a potential embarrassing factor in to get these guys to buy in. I thought they had a good system a couple years ago. Just keep it East versus West. Go back to East versus West like you did last year, but keep the Elam ending thing. It was a nice tribute to Kobe. It was a cool little thing that you would only do once a year just for that game. That made it feel kind of special to me, even if you did kind of get those anticlimactic ends in a couple of the games where guys would win it just they got hacked and then would win off 2 free throws. Whatever, who cares? Regular games are 1-off free throws sometimes too. I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was fun. I thought that it was obvious that the target score aspect motivated the guys in a certain way in the All-Star game.
Can I ask what's the difference in your mind between the Elam ending and them playing to 40? Because isn't that essentially the same thing with a target score, or you're just saying you want to keep that element but have East versus West instead of this weird 14 thing?
I think maybe this is just me being a little salty about the fact that the Knicks have their first time having 2 All-Star starters in forever, and And I'm not even positive that like Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be one of the first 5 guys on the floor for his team. Because again, there's been kind of no clarification as far as I know about like
Fair.
what the starter designation actually means. So if they just go by like who got drafted, even if you factor in the like Trey replacing Giannis thing and everybody else gets bumped up one spot, he would still be on the bench behind Jokic, Shea, Wemby, Siakam, and Şengün, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
So
I think he's gonna. I would be really surprised if they didn't start him once he got the vote. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
I would be too, and like just for roster balance, I'd be, and the fact that like he's been really good and is on the best team in the NBA and deserves to be starting in the All-Star game. Like I'd be surprised if Donovan Mitchell wasn't starting too. But that said, there's still no guarantee of it. I guess I don't know. A part of me wanted to see like Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns sharing the court together in that starting lineup, and then you would have gotten that same suspense. But the other thing is we've never seen, like, people were clamoring to get East versus West back because like, oh, like that's how it used to be, and like these guys take pride in like the whole East versus West thing, whatever. And then we saw them just kind of like not care again. But we've also never seen the Elam ending in the East versus West format, because when they were doing the Elam ending, it was still the players drafting each other format. So maybe give it a shot. I don't know if this one doesn't work out. Now maybe this one does work. Like I said, I'm buying into this format. I just think East versus West with an Elam ending would have been the easier way to kind of try to juice this game again this year. But maybe this new format ends up being awesome. I'm willing to give it a shot because I can see where it could be. But I mean, I think that the Elam ending thing would just kind of sate both the traditionalists and the people that wanted something new.
Yeah, I hear you. I was thinking the same thing as we started recording this episode, that it would have been, I always really enjoyed teammates playing together during the All-Star game, and like Jason Tatum and well, we'll get to see that one, but like them like swarming the ball together. It was also cool to watch them. Like it was, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where they had that stretch where they were going back and forth. That was kind of fun, but I think there's something really cool about teammates on the same team. And I remember when the Pistons had 4 All-Stars, when the Hawks had 4 All-Stars, and I remember when the Pistons had 4, they put out the Pistons with LeBron, and I think it was the year after LeBron scored 27 straight, which was 2007, in Game 7 to beat them. And that was just such a cool lineup, because it made you imagine, because remember Detroit that year, this is really going back, but they took Darko over Melo, and you were like, man, imagine if they had Melo, if they had a 5th guy that was slightly better than Tayshaun Prince, who all respect to Tayshaun Prince, he was awesome, but LeBron with those 4 guys was so cool. So that was a long-winded sidetrack way of saying I'm with you on that. My suggestion is pretty much the same one I have every year. I would die to see a one-on-one contest with the All-Stars. I just want to see these guys seriously play one-on-one, make the prize $1 million. I understand if someone ever got hurt, even if it was like a minor injury, they would have to cancel it immediately. Even if it has to be sub-All-Star guys, I don't care. I just want to see NBA guys play one-on-one, because that's something like I'm sure happens behind the scenes, but we just never get to see it. And like with money, with the crowd, the opportunity to get embarrassed. I know in that, I'm totally forgetting what it's called, but in the new women's basketball league, they have it. And Breonna Stewart got like slammed, like she lost 12-0 the other day. And maybe that's why guys wouldn't participate. But it would be fun to watch some like Brandon Pajemski randomly cooks LeBron because he gets hot for 2 minutes. I don't know. I think it would be cool. That's always been mine.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. I mean, just anything that they can do to capture like schoolyard energy or like just random pickup energy at the park, I feel like is always a good thing when it comes to like All-Star weekend and whatever. And that's like sort of what like the NFL is trying to go back to with their All-Star format. Now, granted, I haven't watched a ton of it, but like they're doing like flag football, like, which is like just fun. And they brought their skills contest back because like that's the dumb crap you want to see out of the best players in the world. You want to, and the NBA has always done good at like having some of that stuff with like the skills challenge and whatever. But as many things you can see to just be like, hey, here's a lighthearted way to show you just how much better these people are at playing basketball than you are. Like, I'm all for it. And like one-on-one would definitely be part of that. But like you said, that does create more opportunity for possible embarrassment. Maybe that means that you end up just having like some mid-tier players play each other or whatever. But I think it could be like almost freaking anyone in the NBA playing
Dude, I would
one-on-one
watch
against each
an
other.
hour of Alec Burks playing one-on-one, like
Yeah.
with whoever. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's where you could just be like, hey, let's find the most like and one looking dudes like that look like they could have fit in on the and one mixtape tour back in the day, with the crazy handles and the pull-up shooting and the crafty moves and everything. Honestly, like Brunson would murder in a one-on-one tournament. Like he would destroy people in that format, I feel like. So as a Knicks fan, that sounds pretty fun to me. My last thing, I'll just throw I used to love the slam dunk contest so much, and that thing has fallen off so much. Maybe if this Rising Stars thing works out this year, they can take a cue from that. And I would say go find like the best professional dunker in the world. Put that person in. Put like, bring in NBA players, challenge them to like beat a top dunker.
Isn't that just Mac McClung kind of?
Kind of. I mean, he more or less is at this point. He's putting up great stats in the G League. I don't know. I mean, he's right on the cusp, I guess, of potentially being an NBA player. But yeah, I mean, just bring in someone who is like just a dunker, and then see if that can entice some of the bigger stars to be in it. Either that, or put up like just a nonsensically high prize pool, like $5 million, $10 million, something like that. Get like one of your sponsors to like whatever, AT&T sponsoring it this year, just be like, AT&T, just put up a huge amount of money and we guarantee you that we'll get like some actually good players in this thing. It's just, I don't know, the field just is sad this year.
Can I throw this out there? They should have it like every 4 or 5 years. I think that might help, because then and like make it like an event, make it like the Olympics. Like, hey, this is the dunk contest year. This is Anthony Edwards. This is your one chance. Like, go for it. I don't know. That'd be my suggestion.
And maybe that's kind of the thing too, is even if it's just like an every other year. Wow, I just thought of this idea on the fly. What if they had like they switch everything off every other year? So dunk contest is every other year. They could add like the one-on-one thing like every other year, something like that, and mix them up so that where like don't, or put things on like a 3-year schedule or something like that, so you can intersperse them differently or whatever. I don't know, like make it almost like House and Senate terms where they don't always line up, you know what I mean? And just have it where like these different events can intersperse, so then any given year you could be like, oh sweet, like the dunk contest is back this year. Oh, this year is shooting stars, like that one's always so fun, whatever. I don't know, maybe that's the way to do it. Like there just needs to be something to keep this thing fresh, and the dunk contest is as stale as could possibly be at this point. I'm not particularly jazzed about seeing Mac McClung try to three-peat against Matas Buzelis, Stefan Castle, and Andre Jackson Jr. Like that just doesn't really do it for me. Anyway, we went into this episode thinking this was going to be like 25 minutes, and we've gone 37 because the All-Star game is fun no matter what. Maybe it hasn't been the most fun lately, but hopefully it's fun this year. Hopefully the Knicks have some fun in it. We'll be watching. Hopefully you all are too. If something amazing happens, maybe we'll take the time to recap it on Monday, but no matter what, we'll be doing some 2/3-ish of the season check-ins over the next week to get you guys ready for the Knicks returning from the All-Star break and all that good stuff coming up soon. But until then, thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out, everybody.